Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and here's the verse of the day. So we're going to be back in Proverbs. It's going to be Proverbs chapter 19, verse 14. So here we go. Houses and riches are an inheritance from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. So for a little bit of context, we'll go back. We'll jump back a verse. We'll go to verse 13. So dealing with that first part of verse 14, verse 13 offers kind of like the exact opposite. So how it said houses and riches are an inheritance from the Lord, you got to think of like the prodigal son, or with the son's inheritances and everything. And then you got to think about, just in general, richer families giving, a house or a bunch of money to their children, or when, the patriarch or the matriarch of a family passes on, they have an inheritance. So I believe that's what, Solomon was writing about when he wrote this. But in verse 13, it says, "A foolish son is the ruin of his father." So it is grieving to any parent to have a foolish son or daughter. This may run from grief to ruin, as the grief destroys the father's health and life, or as the father ruins himself to rescue the foolish son. So, thinking of a father who probably, picturing a father who probably tried their best with their kid, and their kid is just, an idiot with money, or an idiot with, let's say, women or drugs or alcohol, or maybe he's abusive to his wife or whatever. It becomes very grieving and very hard on the parents who raise that child. You got to think about the parents of serial killers or rapists or child molesters or anything like that. If they're not a terrible person themselves, you got to think about how hard it is to disown your kid, or to find out the child you raised is a monster, or at the very least a fool, an idiot, like a gambler or something like that. So, that's a true thing. A foolish son is the ruin of his father. It probably causes a lot of stress, worry, and heartache on the part of the parent, to see their child, who they tried to raise so lovingly and graciously, become something that they never, would have thought, type of thing. So then the second part of verse 13 deals with the second part of verse 14. It offers kind of the other half of it. So the contentions of a wife are a continual dripping. So this proverb of sympathy for a man's problems as a father now looks at a man's potential problem as a husband. A wife who often contends, fights, argues with her husband is like a continual dripping in at least 3 ways, according to Enduring Word. So it is an always present annoyance and trouble. So you got to think about, if a husband and wife are fighting, you kind of don't want to go home, or, you get off of work from a stressful day and you just don't want to deal with them. So, how can two people be married and they're supposed to be in this covenant loving relationship, and they don't even want to see each other? They don't even want to deal with each other, because all they do is fight or argue or nag at each other when they see each other. Second is it wastes and destroys, eroding good and valuable things. So you got to think about having a good family unit is a beautiful thing. Having a relationship with somebody that you give all your love to is a beautiful thing. But if you're just fighting and arguing and you got that ugliness, then it erodes, it destroys that good and valuable thing. That good and valuable thing being that beautiful relationship, that beautiful love. Or maybe it's kids. It's not good for kids to grow up seeing people fight. It ruins their little minds. That's what they think is normal, and then they may carry that on and do that. So, a contentious wife or even a contentious husband, it's not a good thing. And the third part, it points to some underlying more basic problems. So maybe a basic problem that the two people didn't solve at first before they entered this marriage, this covenant with each other. Maybe they didn't solve a small problem. Maybe it was how much one of them makes, or, whatever, different desires or whatever that they didn't come to and talk about. And now it's just ballooned into this huge problem. And that's why people need to get marriage counseling before, so they iron out any problems they may have not foreseen that someone else could. So now we move on to the good part, the actual verse of the day, Proverbs 19:14. So the first one, houses and riches are an inheritance from fathers. There are good things a man may receive as an inheritance, including material things such as houses and riches. A man is blessed to have such things. So it is a blessing to receive an inheritance from your parents. Let's say a house or some money or a car or whatever. I was given a car by my dad, and then I was able to use that to help me buy a new car. There's certain worldly things that can be given to you that are a blessing, and that's, are a blessing from God. So that's a pretty simple part of the verse. And then the final part, a prudent wife is from the Lord. So prudent meaning like a wise wife. So a gift beyond the inheritance one may receive from fathers is the gift from God. A prudent wife, a wife of wisdom, self-control, and appropriate living is a greater gift than houses and riches. Hey guys, sorry, I got a phone call while I was recording, so I had to cut off, and now we're going to continue on. So talking about a prudent wife, so they're of wisdom, self-control, and appropriate living. This is a greater gift than houses and riches. A wife who is not prudent may waste whatever wealth a man has. Every man with a prudent, wise wife should give thanks to the Lord. So yes, if you have a contentious wife or anything, and this could go for husbands as well, a contentious spouse, a wasteful spouse, anything like that, it could ruin your wealth or your home. Let's say you're a man given a house and riches by your father, then, you have a spouse that doesn't, know how to spend money or anything like that, or really knows how to spend money, and then you lose your riches. But what it's saying here is that a wise, loving, respectful, just amazing wife, to all the fellows out there who have amazing wives, that is a gift from God. That is better than houses and riches, than being the richest man in the world with the biggest house. It's better to have a beautiful, loving wife. And the same thing for a woman, just a beautiful, a handsome husband that is wise and respectful and treats you right. It's a gift from God. God brings two people together, soulmates, they get married, and it's just a beautiful thing. And then, harkens to the writings of Paul, talking about how a wife must respect her husband and a man must love his wife more than himself. John 15:12, what Jesus said to the disciples, love one another as I have loved you. So, must show that sacrificial, that unconditional love to each other. And, wise, loving, respectful, communicative, everything, people in a relationship, they're each other's, gift from God that God blessed them with. And you have to give thanks to God. You have to talk to him and be like, thank you, Lord, every day for this person, because at any moment it could be taken away from you. And you have to realize that and just give thanks to God for that other person. So, thank you for watching, guys, and have a blessed day. Peace.